Hi, I'm Hannah with One-to-One Health Kick. Today we're in the kitchen and making meals centered on protein. First, let's answer our one-to-one question you were left with yesterday. True or false? Health recommendations state 10 to 35% of total daily calories should come from lean, healthy protein sources. This is true, and as we increase our physical activity and start resistance training, we should aim to consume the higher end of the recommended range. We have talked at length about avoiding processed meats and cooking at home, but what does that look like? We're going to put some dishes together that you can easily make at home with nutrient-dense protein. One of the most overlooked tools in the kitchen, we should start utilizing our herbs and spices. Eating chicken and making salads can become boring over a long period of time, but adding different herbs will really spice things up. Attached, you will find a list of common herbs and foods that they complement. If you've been diagnosed with high blood pressure, you've probably heard of Mrs. Dash. But this is a great product for anyone. The goal of Mrs. Dash is to make using herbs and spices as simple as possible in the kitchen. If you have internet access, check out the website mrsdash.com for recipe ideas and ways to use their product. Let's make baked chicken Siciliano from the Mrs. Dash website. Heat a large sauté pan to medium. Drizzle the pan with olive oil and sauté chicken breast. Sauté each side for about 2 to 3 minutes. Combine a 14-ounce, no-sodium tomato sauce with 2 tablespoons of water and 2 tablespoons of Mrs. Dash tomato basil seasoning. Add your tomato mixture to your chicken. Sprinkle evenly with about 1 tablespoon of Mrs. Dash tomato basil seasoning. Plate your chicken and spoon the pan juices over each breast. Remove from heat and keep covered for about 2 minutes. And top with 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. This is just one example of a simple recipe using herbs and spices. Here we have a focus on basil, and it only takes about 15 minutes to cook. I also want to show you how easy it is to make one of the staples in my diet, quinoa. The great thing about quinoa is that it's a plant-based, complete protein and can be used for breakfast with your eggs, lunch on a salad, or dinner time as a side or main dish. I rarely eat much rice since quinoa is so similar and it's higher in fiber, healthy fats, and protein. Let's whip up a batch and show you how to use it a few different ways. Quinoa pretty much doubles when you cook it, so 1 cup of dry quinoa will become 2 cups cooked. Get a pot with a lid. For every cup of quinoa, you will need 2 cups of water. Once the water boils, we will add the quinoa and return to a boil. Then let it simmer with the lid on top until the water is absorbed and the quinoa is light and fluffy. If you want a little more flavor, you can use vegetable or chicken broth instead of water. Also try red quinoa for something with a little bit more of a nutty flavor, but cooked the same way. Now that we have our quinoa cooked, for breakfast you can substitute your oatmeal for a healthier grain. Use milk, fruit, and nuts to add flavor to your quinoa. You should try this one morning and I guarantee you'll be surprised how full you feel. For breakfast, I also like to add quinoa to my eggs for some fiber and complex carbs. This gives me energy to start my day. As a side dish, you can simply add different cheeses or vegetables like spinach or asparagus. Most of the time, I just like it plain or with some balsamic on top. Quinoa is also great as a bed for your meats to absorb sauces from your chicken. Quinoa is great added to the top of salads, or you can make a quinoa salad by adding different vegetables and mixing them together. Lastly, I want to put together some nut and vegetable dishes that also have great protein. Stir fry is a great way to make a nutritious meal and is one of my favorite dishes when I have a lot of vegetables I need to use. Heat 2 tablespoons of coconut oil and 1 tablespoon of Mrs. Dash Original Blend over high heat. Add 2 cups of medium carrots and 2 cups of broccoli florets. Cook for 2 minutes, stirring constantly. Add 2 cups mushroom and 6 ounces of snow peas and cook for about 2 more minutes. Add tomato wedges from 1 small tomato, cashews, and 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar. Stir for another minute or until vegetables are crisp, tender. You can always change out the vegetables and add different nuts, herbs, and spices. Just put your tougher vegetables in the skillet first and then let them get tender before adding the more fragile vegetables like tomatoes and spinach. We hope this gives you more helpful ideas to get more creative in the kitchen and start cooking more meals at home. Before we wrap it up, here's your one-to-one health kit question of the day. What is a good way to spice up dishes without frying food and cooking them in thick, creamy sauces? We will have your answer to today's question in the upcoming video. But until then, keep moving and pump up the protein. So let's summarize. Spice up your foods with Mrs. Dash and skip on adding salt and marinades to meals. Quinoa is a great addition to any meal since it provides fiber and protein. Get creative with stir fry and other recipes at home.